Okay, thank you. So, our reading for today had to do with hanging on to a bad job situation, but it could apply to hanging on to anything. We do tend to stick with things and keep keep clutter, eat food that we don't want to eat, have relationships or environments that we don't want, but we tough it out. We stay with that. And that's one of the things that we've been working on here for a couple weeks. So I thought I would explain something about affirmations real quick. When it puts things in the future, like I will do so and so, that means that you aren't doing it yet. It's like you plan on doing it at some point, but it's always in the future. If you say I am, unless it's something that you actually have the capability of doing right now, um, you're actually coming into cognitive dissonance between your conscious and your subconscious mind. For instance, if I say I'm a millionaire, my conscious mind says, "Oh, that sounds like fun." My subconscious goes, "No, you're not." But if you say I imagine being a millionaire, or I imagine that I grow in abundance every day, what would that be like? I pretend that I'm doing this. How does that feel to do this? So this does a couple of things for us. Um, these are some of the things that I wanted to teach in the class, but it's very necessary that we keep our semantics correct. Now, if I say, I imagine that I'm wearing a hat, and you can go along with me with this, and this hat is just beautiful. It suits me perfectly. I imagine this hat is shaped right for my face. And then I kind of sort through some shapes and I pick one. I imagine that this hat is a color that just makes my eyes beautiful or helps me feel very confident. I imagine that this hat gives me a sense of style. Whatever it is, if you start imagining the thing instead of stating something that isn't true or stating something that's always in the future, then you're in a position to kind of try on that hat. It's like, what would a hat shape or color or decorations? Do I want one with big gaudy feathers? No, that's not me. Yeah, and so you can automatically just dismiss that and go on to something else. If you do this in real life, you might get stuck with a hat with big gaudy feathers, and that doesn't work for you. So you wind up getting rid of it, and then you get something else. But you don't really want to get rid of it because you invested in that hat. If you imagine, you can change those hats in an instant. You can change how you think about yourself in an instant. Change how your relationships with other people go in an instant. And here's the important thing: change your response in an instant. By trying them on ahead of time, we can allow ourselves to think in many different paths at the same time, test them out a little bit, and pick the best one. So I hope that makes sense to you. But our affirmations need to be like, I imagine that I am doing something very pleasant. I imagine I'm in a perfect time and place. And I'm pretending that I feel absolutely myself doing this. I feel happy. Okay, well, that might be something that you actually want to do. But are there any little changes you want to make? The place to make them is in your imagination. The place to make them is in your pretend, because your subconscious loves to pretend. And here's something that's very interesting. Your subconscious believes things that you pretend are real. That's the reason when we watch, for instance, a really horrible movie and we start projecting ourselves into it, we not only get scared, but we imagine ourselves, whoever we relate to in that movie, we might imagine ourselves to be all of those people. And we can imagine that we're being attacked from all sides. And even as I say that, I know your mind is going to, oh, yeah, that movie scared me. Your mind will pop around to several different things. So, what we want to do is imagine ourselves to be what we want. We want to feed our mind with things that teach us to be what we want or give us new avenues for imagination. It's like if you want a beautiful flower garden, why do you keep planting cactus? If you like cactus, that's fine. But you might not want to plant it next to peonies or orchids or things. They're not they're not compatible. So you want to plant the things in your mind that are compatible with you without straining, without stretching. But you can try them out and go, maybe this is something maybe this is something I could do. Maybe I could feel more confident when I come into a room. Maybe I could imagine that everybody there likes me and is happy to see me. And maybe instead of going, oh my God, another one of these meetings, we could say something like, hey, this is great, isn't it? Everybody's here today. However works for you are the things that you imagine. Those are what you pretend. That's the reason we've been doing this work with the hot air balloon, because it's a very simple image, but it is always different. And being able to keep what's good and get rid of what doesn't work for you is the crux of all of this. We need to let go of the behaviors that aren't beneficial. We need to let go of the things that we don't need anymore. We need to let go of eating habits we want to change. We need to let go of all kinds of stuff. Now, if you only think that far, you can wonder why you have an empty drawer all of a sudden. You really want to have an empty drawer? Is empty better than stuff you don't want in it? In a way, it is, because you have room for the things you do want. But if you don't stop to think what you do want in your drawer, then you can end up with an empty drawer because making those decisions becomes difficult. If you think, I don't think I want old socks in this drawer anymore. I think I need some new whatever. And I will put my new whatevers in here. I could see, especially this top drawer, I could see opening it and imagining all of my drawers are tidy and beautiful and they're filled with things that I like instead of these old outworn other whatevers. So you begin to see the picture here. That's why so many of the images have to do with letting go of some things, but keeping the good. If you have things that you choose to let go of in your life, it doesn't matter whether it's socks or television or a friend that isn't really a friend. It doesn't matter what it is. What it does matter is that you honor it as being a part of your life for a time, and then you release it. For instance, I have clothes that, oh, I remember I got this at this special place with these special people, and it was a wonderful day, and it takes me right back to that wonderful memory. Now, the other part of that is, what if you have things that remind you of really terrible memories? Do you really have to keep those around? To remind you of terrible memories? No, because terrible memories can be there anyway. They'll pop up now and then. When they do, you can say, just like that, whatever it is in your drawer, I got rid of you. I let you go. Yeah, I know you were there at a time, but I learned something from you, and now I've learned that I don't have to hold on to you anymore. I can release you. People always ask me, well, how do you let things go? That's how you let things go. If they pop up, of course you have a memory. This isn't brainwashing. We're not getting rid of individual memory cells in your brain, but we are getting rid of the way we respond to them. Some people respond to, oh, say a bug of some kind by going, oh, look, that's a so and so, and I don't have one for my collection, or I've always wanted to see one of those up close. And they immediately go about catching the bug. Other people go, oh my God, it's a bug, get out of my house. And we start hitting it with a broom or whatever. It all depends on our response. If we can look at the bug and say, well, this has a pretty pattern, I've never noticed this kind of bug before, then maybe we could just take it outside and let it go. So it's all in our response. That's why the word react doesn't work for us anymore. Reaction is the, oh my God, it's a bug, or oh my God, it's a snake, instead of a piece of string. It may just really be a piece of string, but your first thought may see it as a threat. If you have fear of that, you may see it as a threat. So we can sometimes jump towards the threat instead of away from it, simply because we react. When we respond, we take notice of where the threat is, what the threat is, and we're able to then choose a direction away from it and choose to move away from the threat. Then we can decide what to do with the threat. There's a story about a young person that was out doing archery, and all of a sudden an arrow came flying through the air and struck them in the chest. People rushed over to help them and to take care of them. They were on the ground from this terrible wound, and everyone was worried about, let's get this arrow out, let's treat him or her, let's do whatever we need to do to help this heal. And the person is sitting there clutching the arrow in this chest. This is what we do. We hold on to the arrow. And they're saying, but where did this arrow come from? Who made this arrow? What did these patterns mean? They belong to a person? Who shot me? And who do I blame? Who did this to me? Where did this come from? We can really obsess about how things happen, who's to blame, where it came from. Here's the most important thing you may ever hear. First, remove the arrow. First, remove the arrow. Get rid of the wound. Get rid of the source of your damage. Change now. Then you have time to go back and look at those other things, if you still need to. But the main thing is, get on with the healing. Be in the here and now. We have no idea what's coming tomorrow. We know what came yesterday. We can't go back to yesterday any more than we can breathe yesterday's breath. And we really can't breathe tomorrow's breath yet either. And we can't imagine what we would like for tomorrow. So we're going to do a relaxation, and we're going to do some of that imagining. So begin to relax and get comfortable. Lean back. If you have some place that you can rest, support your neck. please do that. Stop any busy activity that requires your full attention, because you will be very relaxed. This is a very internal relaxation that will take you deeply into your thoughts and ideas and let you begin to sort them out a bit. We are going to work with the hot air balloon, but we're going to do it in a specific way. So take a deep breath and let it go. And you can take another one and hold it as I count from 1 to 4 and then release it when I say 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. Listen to the silence, a perfect point of meditation, and exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Getting ready to drop all tension. 6, 7, and 8. Let your head just loll onto that surface. Let it relax completely through your neck and shoulders. You might want to move your jaw just a tiny bit from side to side. Allow those muscles in your jaws to relax. Let it stay just a tiny bit open. Let the relaxation go down through your body all the way to the tips of your fingers, all the way down through your vital organs. On a cellular level, you are extremely busy right now. Every cell in your body is enjoying the fresh oxygen and nutrients that are being sent into its centers. There may even be some space between your cells where that fresh oxygenation and other immune system functions function between your cells, flowing richly through you and enhancing your health. And continue drifting down until all of your legs, your ankles, feet, whichever one you choose first, just relaxes and lets go. You might wiggle your toes just a tiny bit to make sure that your foot is really relaxed. And begin to imagine those feet on a very pleasant surface. Maybe sandy, or it may be a soft moss, like a thick carpet. It may be some fresh green grass. And begin to imagine walking forward the same way you're moving forward in your life. That first step is the first step away from holding on to the past. That first step is about saying, let's get rid of the arrow. Let's walk away from this pain. And let's see where this path leads. As you move forward step by step, breath by breath, deeper into relaxation, you can find your imagination freed. Find your imagination able to come up with some new, different ideas. You might want to put some tiny flowers on that path in front of you. You might want to walk on tiny daisies. There's nothing about them that's thorny or stickery or anything. You can enjoy the feeling of your feet. Imagining is a wonderful thing. And as you pretend to move forward, you can see that beautiful big hot air balloon that you're familiar with by now. And today, it may look different because you can make it be anything you want it to. You can make it into the shape of a giant animal, like those big floats they have in parades. Or you could have it look like a big flower, or you can have it colored any way you want it. Striped, or a scene, or a pattern. And make the basket underneath of it roomy, and let it contain what you need as well. Some suggestions might be to make sure there's a place in there to rest. Make sure there's a place in there that has maybe healthy snacks, water, things that we need, because we want to pretend we are nourishing ourselves in the best possible way. If there's any cobwebs or anything that's grown any place since we last visited our hot air balloon, we might understand that it's been too long and just knock those cobwebs out of there. Open that little gate and get into the basket. And it's much bigger on the inside than it is on the outside. All of a sudden, you got room there that says you got a place to rest right here. Maybe a hammock, or maybe a little seat, and a toolbox. And we're always working with those rocks. Rocks of all different sizes and colors and shapes. And rocks don't seem to mean much unless we let our subconscious mind deal with them and understand that they're only symbols. And they're symbols for things that are very important to us. If we want to get rid of things out of our life, for instance, there might be a rock there that says we can repurpose some of these things. But if we do that, we'll do it right away. Get rid of the extra. Get rid of anything that we really don't want. And that includes things in relationships, things in our habits that we give ourselves. And know that it takes a certain amount of time for a person to start a habit. And it also takes about the same length of time to stop one. And that's usually about 3 weeks. So if every time a habit comes up in 3 weeks, you simply say, I'm choosing to do something different. It can be different every time, but as long as it isn't that original habit, you begin to start breaking that habit and stop thinking in that old pattern. So let's go to those rocks now, that little tool chest. And we have a little shelf there of those beautiful stones. And we remember that there may be good memories. There may be good things that have happened with those relationships or those feelings. And we've taken that part away and put it on the little shelf. And then we've gotten rid of the junk. We've gotten rid of the part that doesn't serve us anymore. And that's what we're going to do with these other rocks as well. Let's look at one that has to do with a feeling of safety. And safety is important in a hot air balloon. And we double check to make sure that our cable that is in control of our higher power, our cable is very strong and we're connected very powerfully to it. That cable always guides the ascent of the balloon. It never lets it get too high for us or too low. It never lets it get tossed around. The guidance of our higher power always keeps us balanced. And even if we start to go off on a tilt, if we listen, it will correct us and gently guide us back. We know when we're losing our direction. We know when we aren't quite balanced. Now imagine that you are. And as you hold that rock that means safety, pretend that you know what safety feels like. What does it feel like to be safe? Does it feel comfortable to you, or is it so foreign that you're not sure yet? That's why we sit in meditation. It doesn't have to be long periods of time. There aren't any magical things to say or do, but just be with that feeling of safety. And you can see if there's anything in your life that doesn't contribute to safety. For instance, if you have a relationship, a friend, anyone that keeps criticizing and maybe even outright attacking you or being nasty, one that doesn't support you, one that wouldn't defend you in your absence, you might want to decide that there's a lot of that relationship you want to get rid of. But you might find that there are also parts that you've enjoyed with that person. You've maybe loved being with that person. And then somehow things became different. So break off that stone that reminds you of those beautiful times, the precious times. Break it off, and we're going to put that on that little shelf. Our little treasures go on that shelf. And when we look at that big rock that maybe is sharp or just blank and smooth, because blank and smooth isn't a very good way to be in a relationship either. We want some responsiveness, don't we? We want someone that responds. To respond means to take responsibility. Be responsible for their feelings and let us be responsible for ours. And we remember some time ago, some families, maybe not ours, but sometimes ours too, would argue and fight, have some difficult interactions with each other. And then we would walk away and maybe sleep on it overnight, and then we forgive each other. Current thought seems to not be very big on forgiveness. The truth of the matter is, sometimes we can be less than nice. I know I can. Sometimes we can be downright mean. It could be because we're pushed that far, or it could be because we're forced to protect ourselves and we become defensive. You can pretend that you know what it is that pushes you to be there. And we know that there isn't someplace we want to be. So, what do you choose to be? How do you choose to express who you truly are? Sometimes it takes looking very deeply at whatever you say or do, or whatever you said or did, and discover where you feel like you stepped away from yourself, not from the other person. That's up to them. We can't fix them. We never can change anyone but ourselves. So, what do we choose to do with ourselves? You can pretend that you're maybe a meaner fighter, or you are more insulting and better at that, if that's better. Or you might choose to tell the person the truth, which may very well be something like, I feel hurt when I hear things about not being good enough somehow. That would be closer to the truth, but whatever your truth is, find that sensitive spot, because that's what you want to share with them. That's what you want to tell them, because you can give them the reason. You can give them the because. Because I want to feel closer and have a better relationship like we used to. If all of that gets shut down, then maybe you can imagine what it would be like to have some new friends. Maybe you can pretend that you make yourself a friend and do something new and different. Maybe explore something that has always interested you and you've never taken the time for. But whatever it is, imagine what it would be like. Imagine what it would be like to just come into your house and sit down and write, or sit down and draw, or sit down and just be still for a time and decide what you want to do next. Maybe instead of just throwing some food on a plate, maybe you could decide to arrange that in a way that it's beautiful for yourself. Now, if you've learned some of those things because you've explored this particular rock, then check it over and take those other little gems, because that's how we learn from negative experiences. So if there's other little gems there, things that you've come to understand, it may be even more evidence that it's time to let go of all of the junk with that rock. Keep the good part and lay that rock down outside your basket. Some people may decide they are so sick of that rock that they will throw it out there, or it will even explode in midair. But let it go. If you think you might want to pick it up later, You can just lay it down and you could come back and get it, but ask yourself why, because sometimes there isn't a good reason. Sometimes there's something else to learn, but release it. And when you drop that weight, drop that burden, your balloon begins to lift and rise. And sure, there's other things there to let go of, but we can only deal with one rock at a time. There may be other rocks that have been affected by that one. They may be similar color or surface. Your subconscious knows what they are. If you have the urge to pick them up and just throw them over the side, you can do that too. But mostly every breath becomes a relaxation breath, and every imagine becomes a doorway to a different future. Every I'm thinking about doing something different becomes a step towards healing. Make some space for yourself and let your balloon lift and raise. Your higher power won't let it go too high, so you can trust and feel safe as it lifts and raises off the ground. And as it gains a little altitude, you're perfectly safe because your higher power always steadies you. And you can look across from a different perspective. Look across mountains around you and fields. Maybe you're even in fields of flowers. You can pretend at those fields below you. Maybe not very far below you. Maybe you're not up that high. But however high you want to be, that's where you go. And as you look across those fields of different colors, the flowers begin to form their own beautiful pattern. They're amazing in their shape and resiliency. And you begin to look at how you're beautiful in your resiliency as well. How you've gone from standing in a field to letting go of some things and getting a new perspective, being able to look over all of the things that are going on down there where you can see them clearly and understand them. That feels very good. And you can imagine now that you know exactly what it feels like to be well, to be emotionally well, to be free. You might even imagine what happiness feels like. What exactly does happiness feel like for you? And what do you see yourself doing in this state of happy? Pretend that when you land your balloon, you're going to have plenty of things to do to make you happy. And it's perfectly safe for you to open the door on all of that information to give yourself a whole list of things that make you happy. Things that you can experience that are real and tangible in your everyday life. Allow yourself now to feel as though you're free. You've risen above the ground. You've risen above the past. You've risen above so many things now. Leave them there and see what it feels like to be free enough to really fly in that balloon. That feels very good. Your balloon can swoop through the sky, go right through those fluffy white clouds. Maybe even it'll leave a balloon-shaped hole in the cloud, like a cookie cutter where you zoomed right through it. Maybe that balloon can get very playful with you to the degree of your comfort. Maybe you can see some places you'd like to go down there, some places you'd like to visit in your mind, some places you'd like to experience. Maybe there's waterfalls or fields of fruit. Maybe there's all kinds of wonderful things out there just waiting to be experienced. And go ahead and pull back in. And fly some more. Fly to a different place, a different surrounding that you imagine, a place where you would like to stay for a while. And just decide that you have changed your environment to accommodate you instead of changing yourself to accommodate your environment. You've changed the way you respond to people around you. You might zoom to a waterfall, or you might swish on off to the beach. See that glistening water rolling in. You might pretend that you're any place you want to be. Wherever you want to be in your life, the kind of job that you would like to have, the kind of home that you would like to have, the kind of activities you would like to be doing, the kind of feelings you would like to be having. Begin this moment to imagine them. Pretend those things already are. Try them on. See if you might have changed your mind about some of them. Examine them more closely. Actually get involved. Okay. You're doing fine. Sometimes it can be a little hard at first for anyone Sometimes we need to make some very conscious choices and pretend we know exactly how to do that. Experience yourself doing those choices right now. And just keep moving forward into that imagery of beauty and peace where you're free and safe and happy. And you can begin to find the perfect place for your balloon to sit down. Allow yourself to settle into your new environment. Settle into the new choices that you've made for yourself. Take some time to explore them. Do it in your imagination world. Do it in your pretend world. Let your subconscious see how that would work. Or let your conscious mind see how it would work, because sometimes our subconscious mind sees things that are wrong. As you relax and go deeper, you also are going closer to the present time and place. Just relax. That's it. Very good. As your balloon settles down and anchors itself, you notice that you have a whole fresh beginning. You can pretend you have a whole fresh beginning because, in fact, this moment has never been before. So it is fresh and new. This moment is different than anything you've experienced. This moment is something you're trying on. You're working to respond. That's it. And in just a minute, when I count from 1 to 5, you can open your eyes very much in the present time and place, all the way back, and know that you've traveled a very long way and done a great deal of work. Part of it will let you know about it in your dreams or things that happen on a daily basis where you say, oh, I remember, I thought maybe I'd do that a different way this time. The minute you do that and you allow that new behavior to be better, your subconscious doesn't need to hold on to you quite so hard. And when I count from 1 to 5, you can just put everything away as you need to in your subconscious and your conscious mind and accept these new changes as not only pretend, but very possible. There's something that you can begin right here and right now, today. So, with the number 1, put all your little treasures on the shelf. With the number 2, if there's Anything else you want to throw out, just toss it over. It may feel so good that you want to just randomly pitch things, but let's take the time to examine them first. And then with the number 2, feeling your weight, all of your weight, on that welcoming surface beneath you. You can take a deep breath with the number 3. Feel that support, the support of everything and everybody around you, because we always lean on things that support us and never on things that don't. With the number 4, we think that we might be able to trust all of those ideas. We'll just save them up. And with that number 4, we'll open the way into a new and better life as we take another deep breath, stretch, move around a little bit. And number 5, just open your eyes, wide awake and feeling wonderful all the way back. All the way back.